Welcome back to another episode of Player's Guide. In this episode, I'll be taking a look at Pixel Paradise Arcade. So here we are at Pixel Paradise Arcade. The sign says used games. I didn't see any in here. They do got a great prize selection and a bunch of CRTs that I'd love to own. They also do arcade repairs here. So this is a fairly new arcade in Angus, Ontario, which is kind of a small town. I'm surprised that this isn't in a bigger city. But they're new. They seem to have quite the collection here of arcades. As you can see, there's a whole bunch of Rush there. Hydro Thunder. I love that arcade. That's a great arcade to have. And then they have some of the more classic or older early 90s machines over here. Street Fighter 2, Tekken, Mortal Kombat 4 and 2. They also have a Mortal Kombat 3 arcade, but it's in a different section of this arcade. Space Invaders, Tetris. They have a Play Choice 10, which is nice to see. Centipede, Arkanoid. I don't see too many of those around. Pac-Man, you always got to have it. A Tubin. Unfortunately, the Tubin wasn't working. And here we go. Here's a back room that has a surprisingly large amount of different games. So they got their skee ball and basketball. All the typical stuff you would see in a Redemption arcade. This is also a Redemption arcade too, so I imagine they do quite a few birthday parties. Then they have these like surfing and water skiing games here and skateboarding, and I thought that was really cool that they had all of these, because usually you see maybe one of these in an arcade of this size. There's a lot more classic stuff. This arcade has a lot of different racing games and light gun games from the late 90s, which is what I'm all about. I've really been getting into playing those types of games when I go to arcades now. I mean, I've played a lot of the classics that I've wanted to, but occasionally, you run into a rare or unique cabinet that you haven't played before, and I do find those interesting too. So here's some classics like Cruisin', and then they have House of the Dead 4. So lots of shooting games. I had a blast playing these. I got some footage too of a few different light gun games that I'll show you here at the end that they had, because it was a little easier to film when you're alone and you're just shooting with your phone. Anyway, so here's a bunch more of these ticket redemption type games. Win some coins that you see in a lot of modern arcades. I didn't really play any of that stuff. I never do. That's not really my thing, but it's cool that they have something for everyone. So I'm sure there are people that like those, and they have them. Here's this Big Rig game that we saw in Niagara Falls at the Skyline, and look at this. This is one of my favorite pieces, if not my favorite in here. The Red Tent Play Choice 10 cabinet. So they got both sides working here. Dr. Mario, love that game. On that side, air hockey, like I said, they got it all. I mean, it's great that they have air hockey, because if I had brought my son, he would have wanted to play that with me. Time Crisis, they got a bunch of Time Crisis games. I love that skiing game too. There's a few here that you don't see too often, and then there's a few that you do see more often, like the Daytona USA, and over here the Super GT, and then Dance Dance Revolution. So I think what they've done here is they've really tried to cover all their bases of everything that an arcade should have. And they've thrown in a couple niche classics in terms of the light gun games and some of the classic arcade games that a lot of people like to play from the 90s. Not a lot from the 80s, but that's okay. Carn Evil. I played that one. I didn't think it was all that great. Target Terror. What a great game. And I have it on the Wii. I'm going to talk about that in an upcoming episode of light gun games for the Wii. And that one is one of my favorites. It's pretty hokey, but you know what? It works. It does the job, and it really embodies that era of gaming and light gun games. It does a good job of that, I think. So there's a few more here. Warzade, Invasion. I liked that game. That game really stood out to me. I'll show you that one in a little bit. House of the Dead 2. I mean, that cabinet looks great. Crisis Zone, another one that I really enjoyed playing. Unfortunately, hard to film. Area 51, Site 4. A little bit different than the Area 51 I'm used to. So here's another section of the arcade that has a bunch of rhythm type games. The Claw Machine, the Whack-A-Mole, but it's not really a Whack-A-Mole, it's an Whack-A-Gator too. And then a few more racing games, Neo Geo. There's the Mortal Kombat 3 that I said would have been nice with the other Mortal Kombat games, but oh well, they have it. And then they have a foosball. So they really got everything. Terminator 2, that's another great classic arcade shooter game that's fun to play. Guitar Hero. Sorry, that's Guitar Freaks. That's not Guitar Hero. Same deal though. And then a few pinball machines, a couple pins. High Speed, you may know that one from the NES. And their redemption area, I gotta say, I didn't see a ton of redemption games, but their prizes are the best that I've ever seen at any redemption area. They're very reasonable, and like Nerf guns, Lego, what kid doesn't want to win that as opposed to a giant junky stuffy. So here I am playing a bit of Target Terror. I wanted to capture some of these games for you. Area 51, Site 4. I enjoyed this. I think I like just straight up original Area 51 a little bit more, but that could be because I wasn't familiar with these stages. This is the game Invasion that I thought was really cool. There's alien ships coming down, abducting people, and then you got to shoot these people after they've been abducted. But you can also shoot the ships, which I found out later on, to prevent those people from being abducted. So what a unique idea. And then there's this surfing game. Couldn't capture too much here of this, at least not, play it any good. But I had a lot of fun with this one because you stand on a surfboard. It's kind of like the skiing games. There's this game, Hyperzone, and I hadn't played this game before. It looked a lot like F-Zero, and it played a little bit like F-Zero. It was a little bit more floatier. I'd say F-Zero has some tighter controls, but I'm glad I gave it a shot and played a different game that I would not have otherwise had the chance to play. Crisis Zone, this game is very cool. If you haven't played it before, you have a shield that you put in front of you by pushing a pedal on the ground, and then you lower it by letting go and shooting your enemies off the screen. So that is it for this episode of Player's Guide. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and stay tuned. Subscribe to the channel for more arcades as I uncover them. I'll be visiting them, throughout my travels. Until next time, I'll catch you on the flip side.